Peroxide is said to be the Type Soul killer, especially with the inactive development team of Type Soul and lack of content. Now more than ever is this title looking extremely true. Today we'll be comparing both games and their major points, such as progression, PvP, and PvE. And before we get into it, make sure to subscribe, because only about 20% of the people watching this video are actually subscribed. Now let's get into it. First of all, a major point in both games is their progression. Progression is extremely important and is the first point I'll be talking about, as it's the first thing you will usually experience within both games. I will be focusing on Reaconteur and specifically VASTOCAR, as I went VASTOCAR in both games, so I don't have much experience with Soul Reaper or Quincy in either game, but I do have a lot of Reaconteur experience, and I think an Reaconteur's progression is the best way to judge a Bleach game on Roblox, because it's always bad. Type Soul progression and Peroxide progression start out about the same. You die, become a lost soul, pull the chain. The differences lie in the full hollow progression. In Type Soul, you just need to eat and kill things until you're a Menos. In Peroxide, you need to kill hollows until you reach level 20, kill 2 red-eyed hollows, and then you become a Menos. Also, unlike in Peroxide, you can speedrun this stage by simply eating a Bawa worm, which will immediately make you become a Menos in Type Soul. Menos progression is also quite different in both games. In Type Soul, you just need to kill things for a while, or about 15 Menos NPCs. In Peroxide, you need to kill 30 hollows of any type, wait 5 minutes, and then you're in the Juchas. And if you die, well, you get sent back to a level 15 yellow-eyed hollow. The biggest difference in progression lies in Adjukas to Vastolord. First of all, Type Soul. To become a Vastolord in Type Soul, you need to kill 50 Adjukas NPCs of the same color as you, and then there's a 15% chance that each of these will give you a mass crack. At 50 mass cracks, you can then fight the Vastolord boss, and then you have to beat the boss to get Vasto, and if you don't beat it, or if you die, you are locked out of becoming a Vasto and have to settle with Adjucar. And then VASTOCAR gives you an extra 5 skill points and a slightly better Sero that you can use. In Peroxide, you need 1,700 hollow kills, with different types of hollows counting for different kill counts, which will be displayed on screen now. The easiest method is to get boosted to kill 17 Storm VASTOCARs. Dying causes you to lose 60 kills worth of progress, and you get a checkpoint at 1,250 kills. Uniquely enough, Vastolord is actually viable in Peroxide as its own build. Yes, viable. There are players who stay as Vastolord instead of going VASTOCAR to make builds on it, because it is actually viable, and Vastolord has some exclusive moves that Reaconteurs can't access, which is very cool. VASTOCAR is actually worth it in Peroxide, as it unlocks Sero or Surus, increases the level cap by 15, which is significant, and makes your EXP gain 1.5 times faster. In Type Soul, VASTOCAR is kind of just a flex and a question mark on the leaderboard. The final aspects of progression are your partial and full resurrections. In Type Soul, to get partial, you need to get grade 2, find the Harrible NPC in any one of its 15 spawn locations, find a glowing item randomly around the massive empty Hoikomundo map, carry that item to the Void Pit, clear the obby with the really stupid jump at the end, and if you fail, you have to wait an hour, or grip different faction players. Then for full res, you need to do 170 raids, and then that's stage 1. For stage 2, you need to kill 40 elite grades of a different faction, 3 bosses, and 150 NPC hollows, all without dying, or it completely resets. Then you need to go down to the Menos Forest Cave, meditate for 10 minutes, and then do an RNG-based maze with a 5% clear rate. After failing the maze, you need to immediately grip 2 players of different factions, and then meditate for 10 more minutes. In Peroxide, leveling up immediately grants you your partial and full resurrections, which makes a lot more sense because Grimmjow did not do an obby to get his partial, and Ichigo did not do 170 raids to get his Bankai. Now the final part of progression is the way you gain stats. In Type Soul, you just put points into the stats you want as your grade increases. In Peroxide, leveling up increases your potential. Potential is the stat you get as you level up. It basically decides your maximum stat in each of 3 categories, which, speaking of these categories, there are 3. Reiatsu, Speed, and Combat. Combat stats are Spirit, which increases your Sero-type move damage, Strength, which increases your M1 and Strength move damage, and Vitality, which increases health. Speed and Reiatsu are Speed and Reiatsu, and are independent stats that can always reach for your maximum potential, while combat stats all share stat points. And training in Peroxide is, interesting. You have to play mini games that are extremely slow and get very boring after doing them for the 900th time, especially the speed training mini game. Honestly, neither game does progression in a great way. Type Soul relies too much on hard grinding and RNG, and Peroxide's base progression, even without going VASTOCAR, is worse than Type Soul's due to the stat training and PvE, which we will get into a second. Overall, this is going to be a point to Type Soul just because you don't need VASTOCAR. In this game, you actually have a huge incentive to go VASTOCAR, as a VASTOCAR is way stronger than a regular Adjucar or a Menoscar. Because of this, you have incentive to go VASTOCAR, unlike in Type Soul, where you can just go Adjucar and be the same strength as everyone else. There is a huge difference in both games' base progression. Type Soul is PvP based, while Peroxide is PvE based. Peroxide PvE still struggles for a few reasons. First of all, the AI is painful to fight against. It ganks and infinite combos you whenever possible, but apparently the devs are working on improving the AI, so it won't gank you in the near future, so I will not fault them for that. Secondly, all the NPCs just have too much health. Even a 1v1 against an NPC that can't even damage me will still take upwards of a minute because their HP doesn't scale well with my level and damage. This means fighting a hollow NPC on par with your level, it won't be able to damage you, but it's still going to take you about a minute to kill because of its high health. Once you're strong enough, one-shotting NPCs becomes easy though, which is good. What I do like in comparison to Type Soul is the variety in NPCs. You've got Soul Reaper NPC raids in Hueco, Vastolord NPC spawns, Red-Eyed and normal hollow spawns, and overall there is a lot of variety. Type Soul has 2 types of hollows, 2 bosses, and Arancars, and the Adjucar NPCs which spawn like once every 6 months. This point is going to Peroxide easily, it's not even comparable. The next category is PvP, and this one isn't even close, honestly. Peroxide utilizes true stun combat. Think Rogue Lineage, Blood Samurai 2, and GPO. True stun combat is any form of combat in which getting hit once results in punishments in the form of M1 or skill combos. Type Soul has non-stun combat. Think of Deep Woken. Non-stun combat is usually where getting hit once or twice is the punishment for getting hit rather than resulting in combos. That is if you're not fighting a Hakuda user. Regardless, Peroxide has a lot of issues in PvP. First of all, power scaling with level is insane in Peroxide. You can get one tap, which I got one tap, by a singular M1 at full HP by a random Soul Reaper who thought I was an NPC. Not only that, but the difference of true stun combat results in a lot of infinite or one combo fights in which the person who wins is just the person who lands the first hit. Also, there's a lot of Sero spam. In Type Soul, there's much more capability for boss raiding because you can't get infinite comboed by 2 or 3 people and winning you in repetition. Also, Type Soul's combat is just faster and more satisfying as a whole, so this point is going to Type Soul easily. The PvP is just way more satisfying and it's way more fun. The final point is for miscellaneous things within each game. This includes various systems that both games may or may not have, such as the hunger system. It is so bad. Why is there a hunger system? It doesn't even make sense to have one. Arancars, Soul Reapers, and anyone who isn't human does not need to eat in Bleach. Only humans eat, such as Yoruichi, Kisuke, and Ichigo. Non-humans don't need to eat food. And it's not even that bad of a problem. It's just stupid and shouldn't exist. Like, I'm not even joking. There's like so much food around every map that you can always get something to eat and it really doesn't matter. But it doesn't exist. It shouldn't exist. It just doesn't make sense. Like, it's so dumb. It's honestly like not even that much of a hindrance. But why does it even exist? Alright? And secondly, which is subject to change, thankfully, is the lack of UIs. Before you become a Rancor, you need to go to an NPC halfway across Hueco Mundo to change your moves. Even having to talk to your meditation self, it doesn't make sense that I need to talk to an NPC to change my moves. If Ichigo wanted to change his moves, he would just do it. Not only that, but some fucking idiot in the Discord said, do you remember when Ichigo pulled up a GUI to change his moves? It's a fucking video game, you stupid bitch! Tell me why you bring the show not having graphical user interfaces into it, when it literally makes more sense to have one than to not have one. Like, an NPC telling me where there was an NPC in the show or the manga Ichigo talks to whenever he wants to use a different skill. No, he doesn't. He just uses a different skill. I hate the Peroxide community. Every time I open the Discord and send a stupid GIF in their chat, people beg me for a recommendation. No, I'm not gonna recommend you. I don't know you. I already used my recommendations. Stop fucking begging me to recommend you. Anyway, the maps. So all the maps in Peroxide are better except Overworld, which is a custom map unrelated to Bleach called No York. It's it's supposed to be New York, but as someone who lives in New York, it looks nothing like New York, not even East Bronx. Anyway, Hueco is way better in Peroxide, Soul Society is way better in Peroxide, and Van den Rijk or Wandenrijk is way better in Peroxide. The maps and models are better. As for build diversity, sure, everyone in Type Soul is Speed or Hakuda, but at least there are like 5 options with mix possibility. In Peroxide, you either go Spirit or Strength, and mixing isn't viable because if you mix your stats, you're going to be too weak in both stat aspects, making it not viable. In Type Soul, you could realistically mix any stats, like how I mix Speed and Hakuda, don't judge me, and it's still viable. Sure, Speed and Hakuda are the best 2 trees in the game, but you could do the same thing with Kendo and healing. And the models are more realistic in Peroxide, which a lot of people don't like, but I actually do like it because they actually look like hollows and they actually vary a lot. So this point is going to Peroxide. Overall, I like Type Soul more for PvP, and it might be biased because I spawn with Stark, but I just find it more fun. Even the res grind, which is a lot, only took me about 10 hours for stage 1 in 2 days. Peroxide could kill Type Soul, but realistically, if the Type Soul devs keep updating the game and the Peroxide devs don't change the combat and some of the other systems currently in place, Type Soul could continue to reign supreme as the #1 Bleach game on Roblox. But honestly, it's not looking very good for Type Soul. I do enjoy both games, but Type Soul is preferred by me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if you've played Peroxide, and if you haven't, continue to tell me why I'm wrong when I'm literally VASTOCAR and have gone through the full grind in both games. And make sure to join my Discord in the description and comment section down below. Have a good day. Goodbye.